New Year! It's 2025, baby! It's time to lubricate and time to lose some weight. I mean, I'm talking about for the Taylor Dunn utility cart, not my New Year's resolution. How's it going, guys? Dylan with Dylan's Outdoor Garage, back at it with another video for the Taylor Dunn Model R utility cart. If you ever already watched part one of this series, we went over and showed what we're going to do with this project and also what I've done off camera. We installed an LED light bar, LED pod lights, and also a 12-volt ignition switch. If you haven't already watched that video already, there's going to be a link to that video up in the info card and also in the description down below. So thank you so much for your guys' support on that part one. But in today's video, we're going to be working on the EM master switch or the throttle speed switch. The EM master switch, it's basically whenever the rod, whenever you push the accelerator pedal, there's a rod that rubs up against these little copper speed bars. The copper speed bars are starting to show signs of pitting, and there's also no lubrication on there. So whenever you're on the higher speeds, it does cause it to arc. And we don't want it to be arcing while we're accelerating, because if we're driving on any dry, like dirt roads or anything, we don't want those arcs to ignite any of the dry debris and cause a fire. We also are going to be removing the doors and also a couple other things on the cart to try and reduce the weight and see if we can get some more speed out of it, because currently right now with all the weight that cabinet is that the top speed for this cart is 8 miles per hour. So we're going to try to remove those doors and a couple other pieces and try to see if we can shed some weight and gain some speed. We're going to do the before and after test, so come with me. We'll try to see what we can do, and we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, here's the EM master switch. So here is the copper speed bars down here. So whenever I push this throttle down, see that lever rubs up against those contact points, and as you can see, some of the points are pretty well pitted and it's sticking. So what we need to do is take this apart, remove those copper speed bars, and try to sand them down, and then try to get them clean, and then reinstall them and put some lubrication on there, and hopefully that it won't stick. So we just got to be careful, because there are resistors down here on the bottom for speed bars 1, 2, and 3, and then a resistor for 4 and 5. So it's because there's bus bar 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. So what we got to do is we got to remove all 5 of these, and then we got to make sure we take them out and number them accordingly so we can put them in correctly. So when we take those out, we're going to have to take this arm off and also this throttle linkage off so that we can be able to get access in here to take these out. So I'm going to set the camera up and then try to get this thing apart. So the important thing to do is before we mess with this, we got to remove the negative and the positive from these batteries so that this system is there's no current and there's no chances on here that there's any electricity. So what we need to do is that this is the negative for the negative end, and then we got to remove the positive end on that side, because this is where the main positive line is and this is the main negative line. So we got to take this wing nut off and remove all of these. Put the wing nut back on. So we got to make sure that we have four pieces of wire that goes to this negative. So what I'll do is I'll take these wires and zip tie them together. 1, 2, 3. 4. Okay. So that those are zip tied together so that they don't get messed up, and then we're going to remove the positive. I'm going to do the same thing is with the positive as well, and it looks like I put a nut on here as well. All right. Get those out of the way. And I'll zip tie these three together. All right. Now that we have no power, and we got the negative disconnected and the positive disconnected, so now let's take these guys off. All right, let's get some gloves on. All right, got some gloves on. And then what we're gonna do, what we need to do is we need to remove this throttle linkage right here so that we can get this free so we can be able to get access to this. So got my ratcheting wrenches, which the nut is a 7/16. Make sure to put those washers back on. And this nut. And then we're gonna tip that back. And now what's left is we got to remove this whole assembly here. So we need to take this nut off, which is going to be a, all right, you can see here that it's pretty well pitted. So what we need to do is sand this down and try to get this cleaned up so that it's not as pitted, so we can get a clean surface. So we're going to move this to the side onto the workbench. All right, we can take a look. See if I can get down here. So you can see there's a nice groove where that point was rubbing up against. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these speed bars off, sand these down, clean them up, and then put lubrication on here and see if we can prevent more arcing on here. So let's take this off and make sure we'll notate which one came off of which side, because we want to make sure we keep them in the same spot. So I didn't check the GoPro while I was recording and didn't realize my GoPro died while halfway explaining the EM master switch. So what I'm doing, instead of taking off just the speed bars, I'm taking the whole EM master switch assembly out. So that way that I could be able to take those bars out without having any issues of trying to get a screwdriver in there to take those Phillips screws off. And I don't want to strip those heads. So I've already dismantled and disconnected all the wiring. I do have the wires that I took off so far and marked them with painter's tape with a number corresponding to the board of where it's at. I'm already letting the bolts that I'm taking off soak in WD-40 so that I can be able to kind of take them off without having any issues of stripping any bolts. Because I've already ran into a couple issues that some of the nuts were pretty gummed up with rust, so I've used some WD-40 to kind of lubricate it. So it's working so far. So let's jump back into it and take this board off and get to those speed bars. All right, so we got 3 bolts here. We got one up here, one in the middle, and one on the bottom that holds this whole EM master switch together. So we're going to take those off, and the cool thing is so far everything on this board has been a 7/16 socket, so it makes it easier to take everything off and not have multiple nuts and bolts off. So let's get these guys off and get it onto the workbench. Take this bolt out. And we're gonna take the knob off of the gear selector. Raise this out. We got it out. This is the EM master control switch. So here is the speed bars. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is the top high speed for the electric motor. Up here is basically where this guy right here sits right here, and it basically moves up and down with the throttle of the accelerator pedal. So we're gonna clean up some of these points here, kind of get those guys cleaned up. So there's this clean surface. So these guys down here are the resistors. We got to be careful of those of not breaking them, and we got to make sure we put them back in the correct spot where they came out of, because you can see that the thickness of these coils, it gets thicker as you go up higher into the speeds. So you can see that this one here is attached to speed bar 1 and 2, and this bigger one is connected to 3 and 4, and this bigger one is for 5, is for like between 4 and 5. So we got to make sure we put those back in correctly, and it looks like they've already replaced these once before because these bolts look brand new. So just got to make sure that we put those back in correctly. All right, so we got everything here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a rag and we're going to try to wipe some of this WD-40 off. It is pretty greasy, so I want to make sure that I get these points as clean as possible. So when I take these off, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these nuts off. So these should be a 7/16 as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of how these connect so I can make sure I can put them back in correctly. So So we got the smaller spring. We're going to set that. And we got the bigger spring and the medium-sized spring. And then last but not least, we got the big spring. Got one. Bus bar 4. 3. Bus bar 2. And last but not least, bus bar 1. All right, got all the speed bars taken off of the EM controller. So now it's time to wipe this all down, get this cleaned up, and start getting everything prepped to get them sanded down and try to get them back together. All right, so we're not gonna do anything too crazy with this. We're just gonna wipe this down, get this all cleaned up. I'm just gonna take this putty knife here and try to scrape off any gunk that's on here. Little cleanup. I'm just going to clean these little areas up a little bit with just the wire wheel. Alright, those are nice and clean. Alright, so these speed bars, I think what I'm going to do, because of how pitted they are, I think I might just flip it around and just use this backside, but I'm going to try to clean this up, and hopefully that's not going to be an issue. But I know that for how much this is worn down, I might have to adjust some of the some settings on the actual accelerator pedal so that it doesn't stick, because we don't want to put too much pressure on this, because then that's what will cause it to worn out pretty bad. So I might have to do some adjustments on those arms. So I might have to try to loosen this up a little bit and try to prevent this from putting too much pressure on there. So we'll see what we can do and get these things cleaned up a little bit more and get it back together. So I'm using 220 grit sandpaper and a little bit of WD-40 as a lubricant. So hopefully 220 will be able to do something. See all that copper that's coming off? It's actually cleaning it up pretty well. Look at that. Nice and clean. That's one thing down. Next up, speed bars. Alright, moment of truth. Look at that. Clean copper. I'm going to set this aside over with the clean stuff, and then we're going to work on the other speed bars. So we still got these 4 to go. I'm going to do the same exact thing what I did with that other one. Wire wheel, sandpaper, and try to get them cleaned up and try to remove any of the divots or anything in the speed bars. If they're pretty badly divoted in, I might flip them around and get this clean, smooth side and use that side. The other one, the first one I can't use because of this little notch there. If I flip it around, it's going to be opposite, and if I put it upside down, it's not going to be in the right spot. So I did the best I can to clean that out. That little groove is going to have to stay there. But it's not as pitted as it was before. So let's jump to get these guys done, and with the power of video editing. All right, got those all done. We got them all cleaned out. So now it's time to reassemble these back onto the EM controller. All right, let's start assembling this thing back together. All right, let's reconnect all these wiring harnesses. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 connected, and then we got our flashers connected. All right, next thing to do is install this throttle linkage back on. All right, so we got the throttle cable installed. You can see it's rubbing on those contacts and already marking it up already. So what we need to do is that we need to actually get some lubrication on here. So we're going to use some wheel grease and put them on the contacts. So I'm going to put some on there. And glob some like that. So we got grease on the speed bars, and now it's time to get the linkage put together. I got all the wires reconnected. It's now time to pull all the tools out, put the seat back in, push this thing outside, and do a test run and see if that will fix the sparking issues. And if it did, then we'll bring this thing back in, and then we'll try to see what we can do about the weight reduction on this cart. All right, so I'm going to screen record my phone for the speedometer. So I'll pop that up on the screen with the speed, and then we'll try this thing out and see what we can do. Ooh. 8 miles per hour downhill. All right, now we're coming up on a hill. We go up a hill, we drop power, so you can see our voltage is dropping down right now. So let's turn around. about 6 miles per hour right now. Sitting at 33.6 volts. Definitely could say I don't hear it arcing as much. All right, so downhill 12 miles an hour, uphill 5, standard 8, which is not good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the door on both sides and also this angle iron right here, and see if that is going to reduce the weight a little bit, and see how much more power we can get out of this. So let's bring this thing back in the shop and remove these doors off. I just want to jump in here real quick, and I want to say thank you so much for your guys' support for the 2024 since I've been back. It really does mean a lot to me. My New Year's resolution for this year is that I want to grow this channel more and more and try to post more regularly. I know my goal is to try to post once a week, but right now I might have to go down to uploading every other week because of some work schedules that are coming up right now that I'm going to have to work around. But if right now I'm just going to keep it weekly. If you want to check out our social media platforms, I will be posting updates on them. We do have a Facebook and an Instagram account, Dylan's Outdoor Garage. I will link those down in the description down below. So if you want to follow those pages so that if any updates that I have on the channel or when the videos get uploaded or behind the scenes footage, you guys will get a sneak peek of those first before the video goes live on YouTube. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys being here. All right, so taking the doors off and that angle iron sheet out didn't make a difference. Still going 8 miles per hour on a straight stretch and 5 miles per hour going up the hill. So I think it's more of a combination of the cabinet is adding extra weight and also this motor itself. This motor could be the original motor from the factory. And over time, those brushes on inside those motors do wear out. And the only way to kind of fix that is if you rebuild those motors. And to rebuild this motor, it's going to take a lot of time and money. And if I replace the motor, it's going to be a lot more expensive and a big investment that I don't know if I want to do quite yet. If I do want to put another electric motor in here, but I'm also looking at converting it to a gas and doing a gas motor instead of electric. But that takes a lot of time, a lot of modifications, a lot of planning that I'm at to do. But as of right now, I think I'm just going to put the doors back on, try to figure out what we can do with this project in the future. I might do some tinkering on it here and there. But as of right now, this Taylor Dunn card is kind of going to be set on the back burners until I do some more research. The Taylor Dunn project, it's going to be on this channel for quite a while. So for right now, I think I'm going to put the doors back on and put this on the back burner for right now and try to do what we can do with this for the future videos. I don't know if I'm going to keep it electric or gas, but if you guys want to put your guys' opinions of what I should do, drop them in the comments down below. It really means a lot to me, and I love reading those comments that you guys post. So keep those coming. If you guys haven't already, turn on your guys' bell notifications so that the second that I post a video, you guys will get notified when a new video gets uploaded. If you do like the content that I do post on this channel, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know what you guys like and don't like on this channel so I can keep posting those kind of contents on this channel. I do want to challenge you guys as well. If you're new here and you guys haven't joined yet, click the subscribe button, and for the first 30 minutes to an hour, if you guys subscribe and say, I subscribed, I will personally say thank you and will like your guys' comments on every single one who joined the channel. And if you've been on this channel this whole entire time, thank you. I do appreciate you guys being here. It does mean a lot for me, even though I was gone for over a year and a half and I came back in the late 2024. But it's 2025. It's a new year. it's the same me, but I want to have a different perspective of this channel. I do want to grow it more. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Happy New Year. The 2025 is here. Let's make something great and let's keep on going. Take care.